Hello everyone, welcome to the Voice of the Fan. This short video is your starting guide to the biggest sporting extravaganza of the world, the Summer Olympics. Let's start from where it all began. In 1894, French historian Pierre de Coubertin formed the International Olympic Committee IOC to promote international understanding through games and sports. And as we all know, arts and sports are the biggest unifiers, and Olympics have played a huge role in this. Let's look at some interesting stats, numbers, facts, which I love and most of you, I think, will love about the Olympics before we go on one by one on the sports included in Olympics and the hosting and the medals won by different nations over the years. So, interesting facts. Number one, you all have seen 5 rings in Olympics, right? So those 5 rings have an interesting story behind it, why they were created. So with the white background and the 5 colors of the rings, black, green, red, yellow, and blue. So that at that moment, those 5 colors along with white included all the colors in all the national maps of the countries. Not only that, 5 continents which took part in that: America, Australia, Europe, Asia, and Oceania. So those 5 rings interlocked reflected the 5 continents taking part in the Olympics. First Olympics took place in Athens, Greece in 1896. At that time, only 40 nations took part. And last Olympics in 2016, which took place in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, 206 nations took part with more than 11,000 athletes all over the world. So you can imagine the magnitude that Summer Olympics has become. With the success of Summer Olympics, Winter Olympics was also started in year 1924 in France, and every 4 years, Winter Olympics also takes place. Coming back to Summer Olympics, it's also of significance these days because for the first time in the history, the Tokyo Olympics, which was supposed to take place in 2020, was postponed because of the COVID situation, which we all are aware of, which is gonna take place, hopefully, fingers crossed, from July 23 this year in 2021. Before that, Olympics has been cancelled because of world wars, but never been postponed before. In 1916 Olympics, because of World War I, 40 and 44 Olympics, because of World War II, have been cancelled. Interestingly, when we write the Roman numerals of the Olympiad, because at the beginning time, they were called the game of the Olympiad. Olympiad is like stretch of 4 years leading to an Olympic in Greek language. So when people use the Roman numerals, they still use 32 for this Tokyo Olympics because the Olympics which are cancelled are also counted. But technically, it will be only 29th Olympic. There have been 28 before. So that's one more interesting fact about the Olympics. Now, let's look at a few things one by one. Number one will be the number of sports, disciplines, and events. So there are 3 things here which has to be taken part. I'm going to explain it in a very simple way. Sports, number of sports. So over the years, the number of sports which has taken part in Olympics is 42. In fact, cricket was also part of 1900 Olympics only once, where Great Britain won the gold medal. And since then, it has never been part, and different authorities are pushing for cricket. Hopefully, if BCCI and all other cricketing boards come together and push for cricket, there is a possibility that in 1924, not in 1924 Paris, because the deadline has passed, only if the Paris Olympic Association wants it. Otherwise, in 2024 Paris, not, but in 2028 Los Angeles, there is a chance that cricket might make a comeback. Now, how the sports are selected every year, there are some core sports which are always there, which very difficult to take it away. But other than that, sports can be removed or new sports are added. Just like in the last Olympics, there were 28 sports. Now in this Olympics in Tokyo, there will be 33. 5 new sports have been added, like surfing, karate, skateboarding, climbing, sports climbing, and also baseball and softball. Baseball for men, softball for women. So over the years, there has been some core sports which has always been there, and there has been some sports which have been removed and has been reviewed based on many factors, the international viewership and the popularity and sponsorship. Many things play a role in the removal of any sport or addition of any sport, but some core sports always remain. So sports, over all the years since 1896 till now, overall 42 sports have been part, but in the last Olympic, 28 sports, this Olympic, 33 sports. But you will see that there is another term which comes, discipline. 50 disciplines in the coming Tokyo Olympics. So what is meant by disciplines? Because, for example, I'm just give one example I'll give, is swimming and water polo. Both are two disciplines but come under the same sports, aquatic sport. So that's why number of disciplines are a bit higher than the number of sports. And then there are number of events. Like every sport, in swimming you have events for 50 meter, 100 meter and different styles like freestyle. Then you have the butterfly and backstroke, all those kind of things. Even in track and field, there are so many different events. So in coming Tokyo Olympics, more than 11,000 athletes are expected from 205 nations, and there will 33 sports, 50 disciplines, 339 events. And in each event, 3 medals, as we all know, gold, silver, and bronze for number 1, number 2, and number 3 position are awarded. So I think I have made the sporting things in Olympics very clear. And in my next videos, I'll take one sport at a time and make a video on that, especially with respect or in context of Indian prospects and where India is likely to win a medal or have a very good chance. So anyway, let's move ahead. After sports, let's look at the hosting. What about the hosting? We've looked at the history of Olympics, different interesting facts about Olympics and the sports and how it is included and excluded from one Olympics. Let's look at history. History we have already looked. Let's look at the hosting. So as I already mentioned before, that Greece, Athens have hosted the first Olympics. Before that, let me mention another interesting facts. There are only 5 countries which have participated in all the Olympics so far. UK, Australia, Switzerland, Greece, and France. Only 5 countries have participated in all the Olympics so far. So that's another interesting fact in history, as you can see. So now hosting, coming back to hosting. So it has been hosted by 5 different continents, 19 different countries, and several cities have hosted it more than twice, in 3 times actually. London have hosted it 3 times before. Then I think Paris, if 2024 they will host it, that will be the 3rd time. Los Angeles, if they host in 2028, it will be the 3rd time. And not only cities, if you consider about the countries, US has hosted the most number of times, followed by UK and many other countries. China hosted it in 2008. Japan has hosted it before. Tokyo will be the 2nd time Japan will be hosting the Olympics. So this is about the hosting for Olympics. It's a long process and you have to bid and a lot of process goes through. I'm not going to go into the details of the hosting. Now the medals tally. USA dominates the medals tally. The overall medals tally, USA is way ahead. Soviet Union previously, and if you combine the Russia, they're at number 2 in overall medals tally. And then you have Great Britain, Germany, France, China. They have all been doing well. In Winter Olympics, actually, Germany tops the overall medal list. So USA leads the chart for the most number of medals. Michael Phelps, they have produced excellent athletes over the years. And once I talk about each sports individually, then I'll mention more about different countries and which countries dominate in which. My next video will be on shooting, because India in the last 1 year, and since Abhinav Bindra won the gold medal in 2008 Beijing Olympics, since then India have escalated in the world arena in swimming, in shooting. And in the last year, in fact, India won most number of gold medals and dominated the world shooting stage in all world events and have a wonderful chance of winning multiple medals, and albeit gold medals, in the Tokyo Olympics. So now I'm gonna sign off with all these starting guide for you of the Olympics. If you like my video, definitely like, share, subscribe, and comment, and keep supporting me. Thank you.